Hey guys, Lewis here, and in today's video, I want to talk about how to learn English by yourself. Now, as a French speaker, I had to learn English, right? And I took classes for 7 years. At the end of the 7 years, couldn't have a basic conversation with a native speaker. Now, I had to learn English by myself after high school because I realized that my level was just too low. And so the methods I'm going to give you in this video are the stuff that I've used, but also the stuff I wish I knew about in the past. So I'm going to give you methods that belong to 4 categories, and those categories are inspired by scientific research that I have read as well as my own experience. So the first thing I want to tell you is that, if you want resources, I'm going to put some links in the description to some resources that you can use for the methods that I'm going to talk about. So the 4 categories first. So the first category is learning English through input. So stuff like reading and listening. I'm going to give you some activities that you can do to learn through reading and listening. So that's the first category, input, reading and listening. The second category is output, learning English through output. So that is speaking and writing. The third category of methods is fluency development. So I'm going to explain to you what this is later. I'm going to keep this for later on in the video. And the fourth category is the deliberate study of English. So deliberate study means the stuff that you would actually do in a classroom most of the time. So studying with textbooks, studying pronunciation, studying with flashcards. I'm going to talk about that also. So now let me give you some precise activities, like the steps that you can take for each of those categories. So you have 4 categories, and if you're learning English, you should spend about 25% of your time for each category. So input, 25% of your time, output 25%, fluency development 25%, and then deliberate study 25%. That's 100% total. All right, so let me start with input. So how can you learn English through reading and listening? I'm going to start with listening because this is my favorite. Not that this is more effective or anything, but this is my favorite. For listening, you can do repetitive listening. I've talked about this many times. And so you can listen to a podcast, for example, or watch something on Netflix. And the first time that you watch it, really try to listen and understand what is going on. Understand the story. For example, if you're watching Netflix, watch it in English, but put the subtitles in your native language. You need to understand the story, and then you need to listen to that thing on Netflix multiple times, again and again, 5, 10 times, and just focus on really listening and trying to understand what is happening and understanding the language. By listening to the same thing multiple times, you're going to get multiple opportunities to learn the same vocabulary and the same grammar and the same expressions and so on. All right, so this is listening. Now, how can you learn through reading? This is also input, right? So with reading, you can do narrow reading, and I've talked about this as well in the past. Narrow reading is an activity where you select a few books or a few, blog articles, a few web pages, whatever it is, about the same topic. So let's say that you want to learn about, chess. I like playing chess. So I'm going to take a bunch of books on chess in English, and I'm going to start reading them. And this is narrow reading because I'm only reading about chess. The thing here is, if you read only about one topic, you're going to encounter the same words, the same expressions, and the same stuff over and over again. So it's easier for you, and you're really learning. You have many opportunities to learn the same stuff multiple times. All right, so this was input. Now, as far as output goes, so speaking and writing. So first of all, how do you learn speaking in English? So one very simple activity, and this sounds it's pretty straightforward, but it is extremely effective, is memorize the sentences or memorize dialogues. So all you do is you take, for example, a movie on Netflix, and you take a sentence or, multiple sentences or an entire dialogue, an entire speech, and you memorize that. Now, it sounds really simple, but this activity, and by the way, all of the activities that I'm presenting right now have been scientifically validated. I'm not inventing anything. All of this is from scientific research. So you memorize a sentence or you memorize a dialogue, and this memory of that sentence and that dialogue is going to be readily available to you for, everyday use, and you can use it in different contexts. And so this is a very, very effective method for learning to speak. Now, how do you learn English through writing? And the answer here is there is an activity that is pretty good. So you read about a topic, right? For example, about chess or about tennis, whatever it is that you like or that you want to write about. You read about it, and then you write about it, right? So first you read and then you write like an essay or at least a paragraph about it. And then you get some feedback from a teacher, ideally to point out sort of the mistakes that you made and where you could sort of sound more natural and where the improvements could be. So for this, if you want to get a teacher, now I know that some people will not be able to get a teacher because it does cost some money, but nowadays it's pretty affordable. I'm going to put some links in the description again if you want to get some teachers to give you feedback and so on. All right, so this was output. Now, the third category, fluency development. Now, let me explain to you what fluency development is. When you listen to English or you speak English, there is a time component, right? So when you listen, then native speakers of English are going to speak pretty fast, right? I talk pretty slowly because that's the way I talk. Even when I speak in French, I speak pretty slowly, but most people who speak English are going to speak a lot faster, and they're not going to pronounce things as clearly as I do. All right, so you need to get used to that. You need to get used to people speaking fast. Now, same thing applies to you when you speak English, right? You're not going to speak like super slowly. There is it's important to speak at a reasonable speed. Same thing when you read. When you read English, if you're too slow, it's really annoying. When you write English, if you're too slow, it's really annoying. So there are multiple techniques that you can use to just be faster when you use English, when you listen, when you speak, when you write, when you read. I think I'm going to do a video on this. So if you want to learn more, techniques about to get more fluent for fluency development, just leave me a comment down in the comment section down below, and I'll make a video on it because I think it's more of a specialized topic. All right, and the fourth category, so deliberate study of English. How do you do this? Now, there are multiple ways to do this, and there are multiple sort of aspects to cover, so grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, that kind of stuff. But one of the best activities that you can do, the most effective, like biggest, return on your time, is going to be flashcards. So word flashcards or sentence flashcards. I've made multiple videos on this, and I think in the past, I had pretty strong opinions on how you should, make your flashcards. But I will say that for the general population, for the average Joe trying to do flashcards, it doesn't really matter too much. Like, just do flashcards with words where you learn words or sentences. Now, some suggestions as far as like what app or what piece of software to use for flashcards. I personally would recommend LingoPie. I'm going to put a link in the description. LingoPie is a piece of software that allows you to make flashcards from stuff that you watch on Netflix. So that is one suggestion. There are many other sites and apps that you can use. I personally think that LingoPie is one of the best options out there. Alright, so that's pretty much it. Once again, I'm going to put all of the links to all of the resources that I recommend in the description box down below. And I'll see you next time.